Well, you've likely heard about our podcast, Good Questions Saskatchewan. In it, we take questions from you about this place and we try to get you some answers. Well, we recently got an email from someone who had many questions about this place.
My name is Saad Ahmad Hashmi, and I'm from Pakistan. Soon, me and my family will be relocating to Saskatoon.
So we know Saad is not alone. Hundreds of newcomers come to our province every month. Some come from other provinces, but many also come from other countries and need to navigate this place as soon as they get here. So today we're calling on the help from settlement workers in both Regina and Saskatoon who will help answer Saad's questions about life in Saskatchewan. We also want to hear from you. If you're new here and have questions about life in Regina and Saskatoon, call us at 1-800-716-2221, or maybe you'll just want to call in and offer your perspective to Saad and his family as they prepare to move across the globe and make a new life in Saskatoon. So again, that's 1-800-716-2221. You can also email us bluesky@cbc.ca. Marwa Al-Mufti is a settlement coordinator with the Saskatchewan Intercultural Association. She is with me here in our Saskatoon studio. Welcome to Blue Sky.
Hello, Sheila. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. And then in our Regina studio is Shaima Youssef. She's a caseworker for Newcomer Orientation Services with Regina Open Door Society. Shaima, hello.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Yes, so well. It's just so great to have you here and to have this conversation. It's so interesting because Saad had sent us all these questions and I was surprised at how much they made me think. So I think there's a lot of value to exploring some of the questions and the answers that you help people work through. But before we get to some of those questions, I do want to know a little bit more about both of you because you both help newcomers who are getting settled in Saskatchewan. But it wasn't that long ago that you were settling into life here yourselves. So Marwa, maybe I'll start with you. What brought you to Saskatoon?
Yeah, sure. What brought me to Saskatoon is the situation, in my country. So I moved to Canada. I came to Saskatoon. I was sponsored by a group called Nest Saskatoon.
And what was your home country?
Iraq.
Iraq.
Yeah. So I choose to come to Saskatoon because of, it's a kind of a quiet area. The people who sponsored me they were very helpful people. So they guide me here, and finally I'm here in Saskatoon and I'm enjoying the life here.
Knowing what we're about to talk about, trying to help people get settled here and navigate a whole new culture, a whole new system, is it bringing back some of your own memories of when you first arrived and what it was like for you?
Sure, yeah. So that's why I choose this position because, I face some challenges. So I want to make it easier for the clients, helping them. So absolutely, yeah. I remember when I first came to Canada. So that's why I tried to make it easier for them.
What were some of the challenges that you faced in those first few weeks?
Yeah. So to be honest, also the first few weeks, just getting to use to this place, to this country, but they were amazing, friendly people here. Also, the most challenging thing that I faced is finding a job. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of Saad's questions too, so we'll get to that. But first, Shaima, I want to know more about you. What made you want to move to Regina? What's your story?
Wow, it's a long story. So we have a saying in my home country said that traveling has 7 benefits. So it was a dream, it was my life dream to go and explore other countries. And when I got the chance, I worked on this for 4 years. Can you imagine?
Oh. Is that your telephone?
Yes, sorry. Just give me a second.
It's okay. Yeah,
I'll turn it off.
Yeah, it's okay. I was enjoying it. So Shaima is speaking to us today from our
It's
studio
Maria
in Regina, and so interesting to hear about the 7 benefits of travel. Her home country is Egypt, and so we're going to hear a bit more about the choice she made. And Shaima, I guess, was it a choice? It's not always a choice for people, but you wanted to explore a different place.
Yeah, actually, it was my choice, me and my family. I have a family of 5. I have 3 children. I was working. I have a great life in Egypt. And even, by the way, Egypt is a great and beautiful country. But I wanted to explore and know more about other countries. And I always hear about Canada and the Canadian system and the Canadian government, who always help and encourage every newcomer here to start his life easily and smoothly. So I was like wondering if I can be one of those newcomers who has the courage to go to other places and other countries and explore and start their life from the scratch. So always to think out of the box, always be like, get out from your comfort zone and start again and again. And this give you a strength in somehow. And this also educates your children to be a unique.
Yeah, for sure it does. So where did you turn to for support in your first few weeks and months here in Canada?
Well, actually, when I landed here, I discovered that everything is new. So I was challenging myself to do everything, to get used to the culture, to get used to the place, to get used to speak English. Yes, my first language is Arabic, and I study English for my whole life, but I didn't use the English as first language in my home country. So it was also like a barrier for me. I wanted to explore how to find a job, how to accommodate my family here. My children used to play sports. For example, my youngest one used to play football. Here, there is no football, for example. So it was quite a little challenge for every one of my family. And for this particular reason, I intended to be like a hope for all the newcomer here. So when they offered me a job in Regina Open Door Society, I took it with my heart. I feel attached to this place. And this place also helped me a lot when I first came to Canada.
Open Door?
Yes.
Yeah,
of course.
I hear it. As you talk, I can tell it's in your heart, and I think there's probably a lot of similarities between you settling in here and what Saad is about to go through. So he did send us a lot of questions. He sent them as a voice note, and we've broken them up. We've broken up the questions so that we can answer them one at a time. We thought that would be useful. So let's get right into it. Let's listen.
Sure.
My first question is about the safety. As you know that the safety is paramount for every newcomer. So may you provide insights into the overall safety of neighborhoods in Saskatoon, as well as any specific safety measures or initiatives in place to ensure residents' well-being.
It's a question from Saad. That's a tough question. If he were to ask me that, I don't know where I would start.
I would start by saying seriously. So Saskatchewan used to be a safe place, and even if any crime happened, that could be happened anywhere else, in any country. I feel this is a safe place, really a safe place comparing to other places and other countries. So you have the courage. I will answer his question by saying that if you have the courage to move to other places, then you will have the courage to face anything here. Yeah. Right? And I confirm that this is a safe place comparing to other countries.
Marwa, how would you go about answering that question about safety?
So it's really a good question. I would say Saskatoon is really amazing place. I would talk about Saskatoon because I lived here for almost 6 years. It's amazing place, and also for safety, we encourage clients to, it depends on their cost of living, so they can choose which area in the city. Most of them, they talk about they were to live in the west side because of the safety. But we would encourage clients to go and see when they find a house or apartment there, they can just look around the area just to make sure that it's a good place for them. We can also share.
Do you give them some information that they can work with to help them make their decisions?
Yeah, we also share with the clients a map map. This is from the Saskatoon Police crime map. So we share it with them. They can check it. But we also encourage them to see the area, the neighborhood as well when they start looking for the house.
Yeah, Shaima, I'm wondering how you handle the topic of crime and how to navigate some pretty tricky conversations about which neighborhood to choose. And not everybody's got a lot of choice if they're working with a limited budget, right?
So no one can deny that some areas here, and I'll speak for Regina, so no one can deny that specific areas here has high crime rates, but not as high that anybody can be afraid of explore any units there or to have a permanent accommodation there. And it's not always depend on this aspect. There are some other aspects. So as a family, when I first land here, for example, I have 3 children, as I previously mentioned, and I wish my children to be enrolled in private schools, religious school, for example. So I explored where is the religious school, and I start searching or looking for a permanent accommodation near to this school to make it easier for my children to go. This is for an example. So there are other schooling options. So for example, if anybody wish his children to be enrolled in Catholic schools, he can do the same. If I have a job in a specific area and I don't find it reliable to use the transportation and waste my money and waste my time, so I can start looking for the nearest location to my job. So I want anyone to be open-minded, think widely, consider all the aspects that can affect your life, right?
Yeah, safety is such an interesting. I right away jumped to talking about crime, but how safely your kids can get across the street to get to the park or to get to school. I mean, that's part of the consideration too, isn't it, Marwa?
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we thought about this one, this part, and yeah, it's like here everywhere in Saskatoon we can see like for the crossing area for the kids, it's a really good place, and it's a good it's really safe for them to cross the street. For my kids, they walk to school every day. It's no problem at all.
Saad's questions are no different than some of the conversations I continue to have with my partner as we navigate life with small kids, right? Okay, so we've got a few other questions, but I first want to ask, because Saad hasn't moved here yet, and so he's reaching out to any and all folks who can help him get information so he can be prepared when he comes. Mm-hmm. Do you often have people reaching out to you before they come, Shaima?
Actually, we have a SOPA program. This is a pre-arrival program to acknowledge all the newcomers who intend to come to Canada of multiple information where they can go during their first period here, how can they get our services. And as soon as they land here, we recommend them to visit our Open Door Society office. We also prepared a session called Welcome to Regina, First Steps Settlement to Regina Information Session. With this session, we are sharing all the information any client or any newcomer should know on how to settle and start his life here in Regina, including how to find a house, how to find a job, how to explore the government programs or the government financial support programs, how can he apply for them, how can he accommodate himself and his family here. What else?
I guess, but people are trying to prepare early, right? I mean, you start doing your research well in advance. Marwa, is that your experience too, that people reach out well in advance?
For sure, yeah. We do have pre-arrivals at SIA, so we deal with them. We help them to get through the steps. What do they need to do when they first arrive? When they want to apply for to get a SIN number, the social insurance number, how to find a permanent place to live, all these things we talk with them, how to do it step by step just to make it easier for them. So we do help them. We try to, to make them feel like they are like almost in their home country. They will not feel that they far away from their home country. So try to be friendly as much as we can with them and guide them to the correct way.
Right. Okay. So Saad has some other questions. This one is about healthcare. Let's listen.
My second question is related to the healthcare, because access to quality healthcare is crucial for every family. So could you recommend reputable healthcare facilities and medical professionals in the Saskatoon city?
Such a good question again. So Marwa, how would you answer that?
Yeah, so the most challenging here is to find a family doctor. But first, they still can apply for the Saskatchewan health card. It's very easy online, applying online. We also help them how to apply online, how to create first the account on the Saskatchewan health card.
So that's step one.
Yes.
And then your access to healthcare would depend on the circumstances that are bringing you here, right? Because if you come as a refugee, you would have access to healthcare.
Sure, yeah.
But if not, it's very difficult. You can't get a family doctor right now.
Absolutely, yeah, yes, for sure, yeah. So, yeah, after they getting the health card, it took almost 2 months to get the health card, but it's still they can get help when they get the health card number before receiving the health card. They can still apply to go to walk-in clinics to get some medical support.
You could go to the hospital, all of that.
Absolutely,
it's just having a primary
yes.
care physician who can
for
follow
sure.
you. Shaima, what do you say to that question about healthcare?
Oh, yeah. So to find a family doctor, yes, it may take some time, but it's not a big deal because he can access any walk-in clinic and the local hospital with his Saskatchewan health card. So the issue is with some of the services that are not covered under Saskatchewan health plan, like dental, like optometric, like ambulance services. And for this, we recommend him to have his own private health plan. So he can go for insurance company and they will let him know all the details on how to get a private insurance plan, health insurance plan. Otherwise, he can find a job. And most of the employers here and most of the companies has their own private or their own health plan, and they will enroll him in it. So don't worry. I'll say to him, don't worry. Walk-in clinics here are very good. They have very professional doctors, and the local hospital, you can access any of them with your health card number. So, yeah.
But I can appreciate how you'd have to kind of explain how our system works here. People could be moving from countries where the entire system is private, where you have to pay out of pocket. I mean, if you're coming from the U.S., there's quite a difference between our healthcare system and theirs. And so explaining what is covered, what you can access without payment, and then, like you said, Shaima, getting insurance to cover the other things. Do you find yourself, Marwa, having to explain how our whole health system works here?
Yeah, so with the health card, he can get access to any walk-in clinic there in Saskatoon, in hospitals. Also, if he has any emergency, all these will be for free for those who has a health card. Other than that, for kids, for the dental, also they have covered by the Saskatchewan health card.
Do people start asking questions, though, if they start following local news? I think we have stories on our website about surgical wait times, or, there might be an expectation, like you're going to get really good care. But when you take a closer look, sometimes do questions pop up about the quality of care, Marwa?
Would you please?
There might be an expectation that in Canada we do have a very good healthcare system.
Right.
But if you look at a local news page, there are stories about how we're struggling in many ways. So do people come with questions about the quality of care that they might get?
Yeah, so the quality of care is amazing. Like most of my clients, they got really good medical care. So
they're
they're pretty good. Yeah.
Shaima, what do you think about that?
You know what? I'll tell you one example. So in my home country, if I wish to see a dentist, I have to pay a fortune. Okay, if I have a cold and I wish to see a doctor, I have to pay for the doctor and I have to pay for the medication. So every place has its own cause and pros and cons. Nobody can deny this. The acceptance is the issue. So if you accept the new place, if you get used to its rules and its regulations, and you will be happy here. This is the issue. So don't compare. Don't compare.
That's really good advice. We have two guests with us today, helping us work through some of the questions that we've received from Saad, who's hoping to move his family to Saskatchewan, coming from Pakistan. We have Marwa Al Mufti with us, a settlement coordinator with the Saskatchewan Intercultural Association, and Shaima Youssef, who's a caseworker for orientation services for newcomers with Regina Open Door Society. If you have questions yourself, or maybe you have some thoughts, some tips that you want to share with Saad, we'll take your calls today about what it's like to settle in a new place and what helped you if you are someone who's relatively new to Saskatchewan, or you've been here a while and it's bringing back memories of how you navigated a whole new culture, a whole new system. 1-800-716-2221. You can also email bluesky@cbc.ca. We've been playing for you some of the questions we've received from Saad in Pakistan, who's hoping to move to Saskatchewan. So let's listen to another question from him.
Third question is about the transportation, public transportation, because it plays a significant role in daily life. So what options are available, are there for commuting in the city? Are there reliable bus routes for other transportation modes connecting residential areas with the schools, workplaces, or other spots like recreational spots or restaurants?
So another great question about public transportation, taking the bus. Marwa, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, transportation here in Saskatoon is pretty good. They can, it's very easy to, to download the app for transit. It's very helpful. They can show them the buses, the number of the bus, the route, which one do they need to choose. So it's very good. Here, the transportation, I hear lots of good feedback from the clients about the transportation here in Saskatoon. So it's a good sign. Yeah.
Although I do know people who might say otherwise, and that might express concern about public transportation in Saskatchewan. Do you get people who were hoping for it to be slightly easier to get around, and then they get here and realize it can be a bit tough? You got a lot of transfers. The commute can be long. It's cold in the winter waiting for the bus.
Yeah.
So do you have people who then come back to you and say, wait, this is not as easy as I thought?
Yeah. To be honest, sometimes we have clients who just considering about the time if they miss the bus, So this is the only considering about the bus. Other than that, they find it's very easy to get it. The most difficult things and the most challenging things is in the winter time. If they missed it and then they need to wait for another half an hour, so it's really big challenging for them. Other than that, it seems okay to them.
Yeah. Shaima, how would you answer that question of Saad about public transportation?
Well, actually, transportation here is not a big issue. We have the co-op taxi services. They are available 24 hours, 7 days. And it's easy to call them anytime, and they can come within 10 minutes and pick you. Otherwise, you can use the transit center, the buses, which is very reliable here. I have my own car, and I'm still catching the bus every day because I don't have to worry about where can I park the car or pay extra fees for parking or pay for the fuel. So with the life,
I'm like you too. I try to take the bus more and more, but I feel so privileged whenever I say that, because the minute it gets too cold or I'm running late, I have a backup vehicle. My experience isn't like other people's, right? I don't rely on it in the way that a lot of people do.
So if you adjust your time and download the app, the Life Transit app, and adjust your time for the bus, you will find it useful than having your car, because if you use your car, you will have to walk from your work to the parking area or the parking lot if you don't have a private space beside your work. So I found the bus more reliable. And of course, it depends on everyone preferences and everyone conditions. But it's not a big deal. Don't worry about transportation. And the transit center with the city of Regina offer a affordable access program where they can offer also a discount on the prices, the buses prices. So we do have some option here. So come and don't worry.
It does link back to some of the first questions about how housing and where you're choosing to live and finding a place that has easy access to a bus stop. That would make a huge difference too. Shaima, though, how often do you get people who have been here for a bit and they realize that they would prefer the convenience of a car? Do you have people like that? And I know it might be a struggle for some when it comes to having the money to purchase a vehicle, but do you find people are trying to, as quickly as possible, get a vehicle here?
Yeah, many of them, especially if they have children. And you know what? Because they are afraid of using a new thing or a new method. They are afraid. So they prefer the method that they are used to in their home country. They are afraid to be exposed to the snow. Why? Snow is beautiful. You can try it one day. So it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Be open-minded and try everything. Okay? Snow will not bite. Get prepared.
Well, there is that thing called frostbite. That
I know.
Might be wondering about.
Don't say that to any newcomer here.
Okay, so if someone does want to drive, Marwa, what's the process for that? How do you go about getting a license? Then there's car insurance, all of that. So what's the process?
Yeah. So to get the driver license, so if you have your own driver license from back home country, then you can just easily go to the SGI, apply for the Saskatchewan driver license. So they will give you an exam. So there is a computer exam, and after you finish the computer test, then there is a road test, and after that you will get your driver license. But if not, then there is a process you need to get in. You need to get the first day, to learn driving. You need to attend a class for driving, and after that, it's around 9 months to get your the driver license. Yeah, so it's kind of, it's easier for those who has their own driver license from back home country, so it's easier to get the Saskatchewan driver license.
What about learning to drive in a totally different place? What do people say to you about the difference driving here in Saskatoon, Marwa, compared to places where they've come from?
Yeah, so some rules in the traffic, it's a bit different. But for those who came from a country, the driving is from the left side and right side. So this is really big different for them. So it will be a little challenging for them. They just need to do some practices. So they do have 3 months for their driver license. If they bring it from their home country, they can drive with it. They can use it. So they can practice first on the road, on the street, and then it will be easy. And I found here in Saskatoon, driving is okay for the newcomer, because for my country, I came from a country who's driving very fast, or they didn't follow the rules. So I found here is much easier, and it's helpful for the traffic light and all signs that's on the street. Yeah.
Shaima, what's your experience with people who are trying to learn to drive here and the differences between here and their home country?
Well, it's different regulation. So when I first, when I was driving for my first time here, of course I passed the written test where I have to pay $25. Okay. And then I was practicing with one of my friends, and he said that if you wish to turn right, you have to give a right sign, okay? And then look over your right shoulder, and then look on the right mirror. I said, all this should be, I should do all of these process like one shot? He said, yes. Otherwise, you will not pass the root test. And guess what? I passed the root test from the first time. Wow.
Yeah, good
We got
job, good
shipment.
job.
And I didn't have to pay another $55. So I
Yeah.
was lucky. It's like as soon as you get used to the regulation and you read the handbook, the PDF, you can download the PDF and you can read it. You can practice on SGI website before going for the written exam, and you can practice before going to the road test. It's not a big issue. These are streets, different regulation, but the streets with cars, so you will know how to drive.
I think I don't know. Talking to both of you, you're both so encouraging. Like I have my license, and I'm feeling nervous about having to take another test, and then hearing both of you talk, I'm like, oh, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Mara and Shaima
You know
say
what?
it's going
I'm
to be
always
okay.
teasing.
We can do it.
Don't
Yeah.
worry, I can do it. Yeah,
I'm always
exactly.
teasing my husband because he didn't pass the first time.
Second
And my
time,
son
though?
too.
Was it the second time?
He passed the second time. I prayed for him, so he passed.
This just really speaks, though, to how important it is to have people on this end, like people in Saskatchewan, who have some of the answers and who are optimistic and supportive and positive, because it can be pretty overwhelming for people. Yeah. We did get another question from Saad in Pakistan, and so let's listen to this one.
My fourth question is related to the cost of living. So considering our relocation, me and my family are curious about the average minimum salary required to maintain a decent standard of living in Saskatoon. So could you provide insights into the cost of living, including like housing, rentals, utilities, and groceries, or other essentials?
So another tough question, because the answer will depend on who you ask. And again, you go on our website and there's lots of stories about the concern over the cost of living right now. So, Marwa, how do you answer that question? How do you start the conversation?
Yeah, so for the cost of living, depend on the side of the city. So which side do he need? Like, will he choose? So in Saskatoon, we do like. We know like the west side is a bit cheaper than if you start to look at like the house on the east side or the north side. But approximately it will be between $1,200 to $2,400 for renting a house or apartment. So it depends.
Must be more difficult to get something that's $1,200.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But if it's in the west side, it could be like they can find with this amount. For the east side, north, south, it's a bit difficult to find in this amount. And it depends. Like if it's apartment, for sure it will be a bit cheaper than if it's a house. All these things they need to put in their mind and just think about it, like where to live. And as I mentioned before, lots of clients, they choose to live in just to be away from the west side. And I live in a west side for 6 years. Since I came to Canada, I found it's amazing, area, neighborhood. So I would encourage them to check this area. And also for newcomers, it's a bit difficult for them to spend all these lots of money just because they are worried to look at it. They think that it's not safe. It's really amazing. And don't worry about it. And first things to start with a low cost of living, try to choose maybe the west side. And this is the approximately amount, $1,200. I have a client who has they're renting their house for $1,200.
Wow. Shaima, what's it like in Regina when it comes to the cost of housing?
Well, actually, Canadian government knows how can it be challenging for any newcomer to find affordable rent, and this is why she's able to provide some financial assistance to anyone who's finding it very expensive to rent. So there are some renting options too. So you can rent basement and it depends on your family size. It depends on which area you wish to find a place. They have also, you can rent with a housing authority. This is affordable housing, they can provide you with a unit, affordable unit, and you can pay affordable rent. Of course, it depends on the availability, but at least you can try to have a unit with them. There is another program called housing support or housing benefits. You can apply, and the government will give you a monthly benefit or assistance to help you paying your rent and utilities. It's not a big deal. It's not a big issue. You will find something here. Yes, the rent is expensive. No one can deny this. I myself find it very expensive to pay for my rent and for the utilities and other bills. But the Canadian government intended to help all the newcomers here to accommodate them and to help them to start their life. So there are some programs that can help you.
What about wages? Because that's the other piece of this. What you're bringing in enables you to, that will determine how much you're able to spend on rent and all of the other bills and food and all of that. So the Centre for Policy Alternatives says a basic living wage would be about $16.89 for people living in Saskatoon. The average yearly salary about $54,700. So I know it all depends on if people can get a job, what job they're getting. I'm just wondering if either of you can speak to income and how to help people come up with a budget that fits life in Saskatchewan. Shaima, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, sure. So for the salary, for the salary range, you mentioned that the minimum wage is 16 in Regina?
This is what an organization this organization says that this would be a living wage, and I'm pretty sure that our minimum wage is lower.
Yeah,
than
14.
But
I think.
They say in order to get by, $16.89 would be a basic living wage if you're able to get that amount.
Yeah.
So that's more than minimum wage.
So we have a session on how to manage your budget to be able to pay your rent and utilities and other expenses, grocery and clothing and food and everything. There are some programs with the government of Canadian government offers to help you, SIS or Saskatchewan Employment Incentive. So there are some benefits you can get if you find yourself unable to pay your expenses or unable to afford your family. Of course, we need the salary to be higher if we can. Yeah, but the inflation rate too, no one can deny that we are having a very high inflation rate nowadays.
Yeah, not just in Saskatchewan, but
everywhere.
Seems like everywhere. Yeah.
So, but we are surviving, right?
See, look at the optimism, always, from both of you, from Shaima and Marwa. What would you say about income and how to budget?
Yeah, I agree with Shaima. So we do have lots of some benefits. So we do have Saskatchewan income support. So this will help with the low income people, and we do also have Saskatchewan employment incentive. It's also helping with those the same, with a low-income employment people. So it's really we do have these options. Yeah, it can be helpful with them.
So there is a social safety net in Canada. That might be a good way to summarize this.
Right, and for the food, for sure we do have some stores that it's affordable, the prices for the food, and also we do have the food.
Which stores would you recommend? I'm curious about that.
I would recommend Superstore. Yeah. So also Freshco, it's it has good prices. We do also have food bank here in Saskatoon, so it's also helpful for those who has difficulty to spend.
You need a bit of help, especially at the start.
For sure, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We have another question from Saad, and so let's give this one a listen.
My fifth question is about the job market. So please provide the overview of the current job market situation over there, particularly for the salespeople with technical background.
Another good question. I don't even know how. It's just so it's tricky to know how to answer that. So I kind of want to start with your own experiences.
Sure.
Because this is a hard question to answer. There are many things at play, but in your own experience, Marwa, I'll start with you. Were you able to find work in the same field as you were doing before you came to Canada?
So my background is industrial management. When I first came to Canada, I found really difficulty to find job with my field. I came with my English wasn't really good when I first came to Canada, so I studied English first. After that, I just attended construction program at Saskatoon Trade and Skills Center. I worked and I did the training, but after that I found it's a bit difficult for me, especially because I have an old injury in my leg, so it would be difficult for me, especially winter time. So I decided to apply for an office job. I applied at SIA, Saskatchewan Intercultural Association, and glad they accepted me. I was on office administration at the beginning, and then I moved to settlement coordinator position after that. But regarding to his questions about employment, at SIA, Saskatchewan Intercultural Association, we do have amazing employment programs that can make it easier for them to find a job. We do have lots of successful stories from participants who attended these programs. I wish I knew about these programs before when I first came to Canada, but I didn't. But now this is my job, just to help the client, encourage them to apply for these programs, because it's really helpful and amazing programs, and easily to find a job after that, because they will also provide them a work placement, which is very important here in Canada. The first thing they ask, do you have a Canadian experience?
Right.
And for newcomers, it's really difficult to have this experience. So the programs that we have at SIA provide them this the worker placement experience, so it's easier for them to get a job after. Some of them who has the because we don't have the program, some of them it's volunteer work placement, and some of them it's paid. So some of the organization or company who the clients working with, they hire them after their training time. So we do have lots of successful stories from this program. So I just would encourage them to apply for it, and it's really amazing programs.
Shaima, do you want to start with your own story and what it was like for you to get work, and that might lead us into a place where you're, I'm sure, offering advice to others who are going to be looking for work. So what was your story?
So I'll like to start by an advice or recommendation to any newcomer here is to be positive and to be active. So don't stay at your home applying online. Go volunteer. Go and do anything. Go and do work, a survival job. Go and apply with Walmart, Superstore, any store, any ethnic store. Do anything. Don't stay at home. This is my first recommendation and my first advice. About my experience, I came to Canada 2 years ago, and I faced the same, all the employer or all the HR when I had the interview with them. They were asking me, do you have Canadian experience? I used to say no. I just land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just land here. It's almost 1 month. How can I have Canadian experience? Do you have Canadian references? Of course, no. I don't know anyone here.
Yeah.
And this is why I go and looked for any volunteer opportunity. I went to Regina Open Door Society, the employment department, and they have a really cool and friendly team. They provide many services that newcomer can benefit from. They provide one-on-one consultation session with one of their employment counselor. They used to help clients to build resumes and cover letters or to acknowledge them on how to apply to get a relevant job to their previous experiences or previous field. They have some work placement program. Most of them are career bridging program. This is a volunteer work placement program.
Yeah.
And one program for youth, YES program for youth, and it's paid program for 4 months. Actually, I joined the career bridging program, and it was my first step to find an employment and to have Canadian references and Canadian experiences.
Because some people really have to make a career change. Like Marwa, your husband went back to school and ended up changing careers dramatically.
Right. Yeah, his background, he has a PhD computer science. He couldn't find a job with his field, but even when he found the salary wasn't really okay. So he decided to study auto body technician at Sask Polytechnic, and now he's working. He found job after that just easily. He's working with auto body technician. He like it and he enjoy it. Yeah.
And this is one of the good things of the Canadian system, that it's never too late to do whatever you wish to do. If I want to change my career or do a career shift, I can go and study some courses or some programs on Saskatchewan Polytechnic or with University of Regina, and I can be whatever I want to be, right? In my home country, for example, if I passed 25 years old, I can't change my career. I'm stuck to this career. I have a master's degree in accounting in my home country, and when I came here, I realized that I should get some certificate to work as an accountant. And then I have to change my career because I didn't have this chance to study again. Yeah. So be flexible.
Yeah,
right?
Challenging but not impossible, right?
Right.
We don't have a ton of time, but I want to play a final question about Assad's question about the vibrancy of our communities. We're not going to have a ton of time to answer it, but I just want to play the question because it makes me think. So let's listen.
Lastly, I would like to know about the city dynamics. So we have heard varied opinions about Saskatoon. Some say it's a vibrant, happening city, while others describe it as rather quiet. So what's your perspective? Is Saskatoon an exciting place with plenty to do, or would you consider it more laid back?
Love that. Okay, so just one word answer. Vibrant. Is Saskatoon a vibrant city, busy, bustling, lots to do, or more laid back?
Oh, no, it's amazing. Yeah, it's a vibrant city. I love it.
I love that.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Shaima, what would you say about Regina?
Do I have to answer this question?
What would you say? Come on.
So I'll say that Regina is a great place to raise your children.
I hear that all the time. I love that. This has been great, you guys. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Ila.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We had Marwa and Shaima with us today here on Blue Sky.